This is Ann Swanberg, and I'm putting this little demonstration together to help folks with Blackboard grading. I've had a couple of questions about it. One of the joys of Tegrity is that you can explain something once and have it recorded for anybody who needs to go over it, and they can go over it as many times as they need to. In Blackboard grading, the first thing that you need to do is to go to your Grade Center and click on Full Grade Center. Again, if I'm going over something you already know, just bear with me. I'm going to go through the whole process. As you can see in your Grade Center, there are a lot of things you may or may not need in front of you. I actually go ahead and hide some of the columns so that I can see the student and their grade a little closer together. Now that takes a little bit, as you can see. One thing I do is I actually hide the column for the total, and I work with the weighted total. So you're going to see that happen in just one second. Okay, so I go under the weighted total and I actually rename it. So I edit the column information. And the first thing I'm going to change about the weighted total is what I call it. And I'm going to call it the student's grade. That way the students know exactly what's here. And I even changed the description to say, this is your grade for this class so far, right? So that the students can do that. Now down here, we have a chance to say whether you want it to show a primary display or a secondary display. I usually choose the percentage and the letter grade so that they can see what the percentage and the letter translate to. Now down here, you're going to see that there are columns to select and categories to select. But you're not quite ready for that. So what you're going to do for right now is just click Submit, and then you're going to edit this again later. The next thing that I do is I actually go to Manage, and I go to Grading Categories. So Categories. And I make up my own categories, and I do this according to the syllabus. So as you can see in this class, they have paragraph 1. This is actually an 092 class that I'm setting up. So they have 5 paragraphs to write, 2 tests that are worth different amounts, quizzes and homeworks, and a final exam. So I'm going to make test paragraph number 1 the same, and then there are going to be paragraphs 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to actually create a category for each one of those just because it's going to end up being easier on the other end. So paragraph 2. And here I don't bother with a description. I just click Submit. So then you can see paragraph 2. I'm going to create all the categories that I need. Paragraph 3 and Submit. Create category. Bear with me, paragraph 4, Submit, paragraph 5, you can see what a lovely typist I am, create category, test 1, Submit, create category, test 2, submit, create category, quizzes and homework, and my writing lab are all in one category. Click submit. And then we are going to call the last one the exit exam. And there it is. You see I've done that before. Exit exam. Click submit. Now you have the categories that you want. You can go back to the Grade Center and go back to that weighted total. So when you go back to that weighted total, which we've renamed grade, you can edit the column information and assign the percentages that each category is worth. So now when we go down here, we can see the different categories that we've created. So paragraph 1, I'm going to add, and I'm going to put in that that's worth 5% of the grade. Paragraph 2, I'm going to add, and these are going to be worth 10%. Paragraph 3 is also worth 10% of the grade. Paragraph 4 is, where is it? it's down. Oh, paragraph 4 is added, and I make that also 10% of the grade. Paragraph 5, however, when we add that, paragraph 5 is actually worth 15% of their grade. So that's a higher percentage. And this is actually why I do the paragraphs as separate, so that I don't have to calculate within that what they average out to be. Test 1 is worth 10% of their grade, but test number 2 is actually worth, guess, 15% of their grade. The quizzes, homework, and my writing labs are also worth 15% of their grade, so that's quite a bit for that. And then the exit exam is my last category, and the exit exam in this class is worth, where did it go? Exit exam, I haven't put it on there. Where did it go? Hold on, bear with me. Paragraph 5, test 1, test 2, quizzes and homework. Exit exam is worth 10% of the grade. Now these are the percentages on the syllabus for 09-2. So you should look for the syllabus percentages on yours and make sure that they match the syllabus, that those percentages for each item match the syllabus. I do this as a calculated running total. I do include this column in the Grade Center calculations. I do show this column to students. I do not show the statistics to the students about what others are earning. And then I click Submit. Now you're in the Grade Center and you have a weighted total. That means that you can start adding items like a sentence structure quiz. You can see that I've added the sentence structure quiz. Let's create a column from scratch, and we'll decide which category we want to put it in. Let's give this column body paragraph number 1, because my students are going to write 3 body paragraphs, an introductory paragraph, and a concluding paragraph over the course of the semester. I like to call it the same thing it's going to be called in Criterion so that they recognize it. And then you can add a description if you want to. Usually I save that for another place, or I put the due date on, but you can add that later. Right now I'm going to do the score out of 100. Now if this were a quiz and we were doing it as a percentage, I would choose percentage. Then we're going to choose the letter grade. Next is to match it to the category that you chose. So this is paragraph number 1 for our class. And for this, since it's worth 5% of their grades, this paragraph is going to be out of 50 points rather than out of 100 points, so that it just sort of matches up. And then you double check the dates and you click Submit. That should give you a column where you can see that the students, you can enter a grade for them right here. Okay, so let's say that Amel earns an 82 on her, well, an 82% out of, let's just make it easier. Let's see, let's say she earns 100% out of 50 points. So you would put in a 50 for her, and then you would hit Enter. As soon as you hit Enter, you can see not only does it enter the body paragraph grade and gives an A+ for a letter grade, it also makes sure that since this is the first thing this student has turned in, that her grade is now 100% because she got all the points available for that assignment, and it's the only assignment in there. Now, since this is an active gradebook, I'm going to actually go in and exempt the grade for this student because I don't want this student to see an A+ grade. And I'm actually going to go in and change. You can see that it's just blocked. There's nothing showing there. So you can exempt an individual grade. That comes in handy at the end of the semester if you want to get rid of some of the small assignments just to be in keeping with the absence policy, like dropping 1 or 2 homework assignments or something like that. You can go in and exempt them. You can see that if I put in a non-passing score, that their grade will be a 50% or an F in that calculated total. You can also see that if this person did 100% on the sentence structure quiz, it doesn't add anything right here because I need to go in and I need to edit this column information, because when you create a quiz in Blackboard, it doesn't assign it a category. It puts it under test, and it's not one of my categories. So I actually go in and put this in as a quiz. and say that I want a percentage and a letter. And now I'm ready to click Submit. And then you should see that the student got 100 here but a failing grade here, and that affects their grade a little bit. It doesn't change it dramatically, but it changes it in proportion to the percentages that you've set out. Now right now there's only one quiz, so this whole average should be at the end of the semester 15%. So right now it's actually weighted more than the 5%. So the fact that this one quiz is right now weighted more than the body paragraph will change when there are a lot more quizzes, homeworks, and My Writing Labs as part of that category. So that's the basics of Blackboard grading. If you do have any, I'm going to exempt these so that the students don't see that I've been messing with their grade books, so that you can see that there is no grade showing right now. And you can go back in and change this. As soon as you type in something here, you can change it the next time you go in. You just unexempt the grade, clear exemption, and enter a grade. Whoopsie. You just enter a grade there instead, and you can change the grade to an 85 if you go in and mark answers by hand. So once you hit enter for each individual grade, it ought to be there for you, and it ought to match up with the categories that you selected in your weighted column. Email me if you have any questions about this Tegrity class. Thanks.